Dungeons and Dragons, do-overs and discombobulations, remakes and retcons, additions and evolutions, medleys and messes, disorganized dungeons and dopey dragons. No, dragon, don't land and fight the party directly. You will die. Blast them with your breath, then use your flight, or swimming, or burrowing, and get away. Then come back and blast them again later on. They will eventually wear down and die, or run away. Or maybe they'll set up traps and wait for you to come back. Send your minions to trigger the traps and to spy on them. Use your wits. You've lived for centuries. Don't just throw away your whole amazing draconic life in 30 seconds of battle. Strategize. Learn the character's strategy, then make a counter strategy. But whatever you do, do not land and get locked into melee. You will die. Greetings and hello. I actually got really far into making this video, then I realized I didn't like the way that it was going and that I had to redo most of it. Which is really ironic considering that I'm talking about the purple dragon / deep dragon, which has to be the most retconned dragon in all of D&D. This video is about more than just the purple dragon though. It's really about all the retconning that goes on in D&D, and more than just D&D, in various works of fiction. The purple dragon just happens to be a really good example of this issue, and I'll try not to go way out into left field too much, which was the problem that I got into with the first attempt. And now let me say that I love dragons, and purple is my favorite color, and I also love obscure, strange creatures, so there's a lot of special going on in this video. Remakes and retcons. We can't be surprised. That's games for you. That's life for you. We're all just making do, right? Rolling with the punches, living between the grave and God. Here and there we realize that something we did was stupid, and we cringe. We make a revision on how to do said thing and carry that revision forward. And we wish we could change the past. But what if we could change the past? Oh, my brave companions, that's the beautiful thing about fictional worlds. You can change the past. That's the beautiful thing, and that's the ugly thing. You better make really sure that your supposed improvement is an actual improvement. Because if your new thing to fix old stupid thing turns out to be even stupider, that's a net loss, my friends. The problems compound when a fictional world goes through entire different groups of people that take charge of things throughout the course of time. Different people have different perspectives, different ideas. Sometimes the new group's ideas are incompatible with the old ideas. Sure, the old ideas have some dumb stuff in there, but they also have some great stuff. And all that greatness and dumbness, well, that's at the roots of the whole setting. This all means things to the people who were there when the world was launched, people who helped build it up into the grand edifice it became. People who care about that world because they invested themselves into it, their time and their money, like drops of their own living blood sacrificed in exchange for something that was promised would make them even more alive. Retcons. I always thought it meant retroactive conversion, but it actually means retroactive continuity. You learn something new every day. D&D has countless retcons. It's full of them. It's crawling with the little buggers like an infestation of goblins. It ain't the only thing out there that has this issue, but it's what we're talking about here. Dung eons and drag-ons. Now, I love the game. You know, we all do. We love this amazing industry that it's sparked. This hobby that's way more than just a hobby. We love what we've experienced when we're able to use the game to its full potential. But the more you delve into its lore, and the more you look into all the histories of things, and you see all the different changes that have been made across the various editions, the more it kind of makes your head spin. Case in point, the purple dragon. This creature should be the mascot for retcons in D&D. Allow me to give you a bit of a tour. The Purple Dragon began in 1st edition and then in 2nd edition, not coming from actual source books, but from Dragon Magazine, so it was official content published by TSR, but we can consider it on the obscure side. Originally, the Purple Dragon was the offspring of blue and red dragons, though enough of them were able to propagate to establish their own proper lineage. This establishing was largely made possible because the purple dragons developed a rather peculiar behavior, especially for chromatic dragons. They formed family units that involved mated, pair-bonded parents who protected and raised their young for many, many years. They were neutral evil, the perfect expression of red's and blue's evil, and the balancing of red's chaos and blue's law. The innate power of the purple dragon fused the essences of fire and lightning, which it inherited from its red and blue forebearers respectively. This gave it a plasma breath that blasted through all damage resistance. Purple dragons were nocturnal, only encountered at night or in lightless caves, and the brightness of their plasma was enough to blind you. They could also control the exhalation so much as to breathe in either a cone or a line, or a focused lance that it shot at a single target. In 5e terms, we could say this was an attack roll, not a saving throw, so a hit meant you took full damage, and there would be a chance for a critical hit. All in all, this was an epic monster, and one of the very most powerful kinds of dragons. A bit cheesy, sure, but also awesome. 3e featured this dragon in 2 official source books, Monsters of Faerun and Drow of the Underdark. It got renamed to the Deep Dragon and recast as the Underdark Dragon. It even became an ally to the Drow and an enemy of Mind Flayers and Aboleths. His personality changed from family-oriented and of epic power levels to a solitary, extremely curious explorer, mainly sticking to the Underdark, but sometimes venturing out onto the surface. Its breath weapon changed to a flesh-corrosive gas, which is a bit less unique than plasma. It gained the ability to shapeshift into either a winged snake or a humanoid, and it gained some innate spells to help it with mobility, with shaping stone, and in detecting magic and magical items, which, like all dragons, it loved to collect. Its alignment was changed to chaotic evil, and its power level got knocked down a little bit, about on par with green and bronze dragons. 4th edition published this dragon in the sourcebook Draconomicon, technically the first Draconomicon, which was all about chromatic dragons. Its name was changed back to Purple Dragon, though it kept Deep Dragon as an alternate title. Its alignment was put back to neutral evil, or technically evil, which in 4e covered both neutral evil and lawful evil. It remained an Underdark explorer dragon, but it lost its iconic shape-changing abilities that it had previously had, the power to turn into the flying snake or the humanoid. It's kind of risky to explore caves when you're a massive dragon, ain't it? You know, with all the tunnels and crevices and crannies. It also lost its iconic spellcasting abilities such as freedom of movement and pass wall. Again, things which greatly aided its cave exploration lifestyle. Its breath got changed again, this time to psychotropic vapors that attacked the mind and dealt psychic damage. And it gained a couple psychic supernatural powers. One was called Nightmare Gaze, which it could use to dominate the mind of a dazed or stunned creature, and the other was called Nightmare Prison, which caused the target to disappear into a prison-like pocket dimension for a time. Its power level stayed about the same as in 3e, like that of greens or blues. 5e switched the name back to Deep Dragon, and did away with its purple color for good. Let's give a moment of silence for the Purple Dragon. Yeah, its illustration shows it with purple wings, but its actual body isn't purple. And the description says they aren't chromatic dragons anymore, they're just distant cousins of the chromatics. It says their coloration is all grays and pales and blacks. They have patches of mushrooms and fungus growing on them. They don't even have scales, just salamander-like hide. And these googly eyes. No horns or spikes either. They don't even have fangs anymore. Bleh. Their breath weapon got a small change. Now it is fungus spores that deal psychic damage and induce fear. They've called it Nightmare Breath, but the only nightmare is how bamboozled this dragon has been. It is now less powerful than any other dragon. A lower challenge rating than the White Dragon, than the Brass Dragon, than even the Crystal Dragon. It went from the most powerful of the dragons to the least powerful. That's the cherry on top, like a dog turd on top of your birthday cake. Now I know what some of you are going to say, but you can just modify this and homebrew that and you can just do whatever you want in your own campaigns. Well, that is true, but remember what I said about a guy sacrificing his time and his money. It's one thing to have the option to modify things. It's another thing to need to modify the official content, to fix the product right out of the box. Allow me to break this down into 4 reasons why the official content should be of very high quality, both in terms of the mechanics and the congruence of the lore. 1. Spending your time and energy always modifying things is a drag. It's better to be working on your own adventures, your own world building, developing your own skills. 2. It's great to play the official monsters as written. You're taking part in the actual game content, experiencing it as the designers intended. 3. You pay a lot for these books. There's an agreement between customer and creator. The content is going to be well developed and doesn't need much tinkering. It sucks to pay full price for damaged goods. 4. Too many changes to the game deteriorates its integrity. Lore gets riddled with incongruencies. Style clashes become absurd. Realities are broken. Trust in the designers is diminished. I appreciate how the designers of 4E and especially 5E have made an effort to try to flesh out the Deep Dragon. Unfortunately, in fixing the problems of the Deep Dragon not having enough lore and not being distinct enough, the designers ended up creating even worse problems in that it's not even the same monster anymore. And it's become kind of lame. And a dragon should never be lame. The Purple Dragon is a representation of the ridiculous amounts of retconning that goes on in D&D. It symbolizes a deeper problem that we all must grapple with. How do we make changes without causing even more problems than we began with? Well, that's a real head scratcher now, isn't it? That's a question for the ages. What do we do when Disney ruins Star Wars? Or when the showrunners ruin Game of Thrones? Or when Amazon ruins, attempts to ruin The Lord of the Rings? Do we just throw our hands up in the air? Sorry folks, it's a wash. I guess we just had bad luck in the lottery of when we were born. Hopefully future generations will revive the souls of these great works. Well, yeah, it's a complicated question to answer. I know what I'm doing, and you all are warmly welcome to come along. I'm divorcing my D&D campaign setting from all the official stuff. Ichoros is still 5e, fully compatible, and I'll still make YouTube videos that cover official content. But as far as my actual setting goes, I'm letting go of all Wizards of the Coast copyrighted IP. No Vecna, no Paylor, no Forgotten Realms or Eberron, no Orcus or Demigorgon, none of that mixing in there. Anything that is not open content or Creative Commons, I'm out. There is a market for these settings of cartoon styles and political correctness and multiverses and endless wacky retcons, and it ain't for my world. Official D&D wants to go pop. I want rock. Rock with a shot of metal and a shot of punk. And when you wake up in the after haze on Sunday morning, you hear classical music and sacred chants, reminding you that there is something greater and nobler that all of this is connected to, like Frodo awakening to see the angel Gandalf after he all but died on the apocalyptic crags of Mount Doom. It's a bewildering tangle of a murky forest that we need to navigate out of. And I don't blame you if you're scared. But again, you're mightily welcome to come along on this venture. I'll hold the torch. So come along if you care about having heart and soul in your campaign setting. Come along if you would rather have an artist and writer leading the way instead of a corporation. Come along if you value quality over ideology. Come along if you have that same feeling that I do, that longing for something that takes us out of the shallow antics of the modern day and places us into a timeless, mythic world. Something I've been told before is, Esper, you're just old man yells at cloud. Maybe, but I counter that by saying, it's even worse to be fool does nothing while the thing he loves gets mutilated. Old man yells at cloud, young man yells at phone. Either way, it's futile. I'm not interested in the yelling. I'm interested in the doing. I'm going to keep developing my world, keep building up Ichoros, keep releasing newsletters for it every month, keep publishing my books, keep running adventures, both on this channel and in private. You have my gratitude for engaging in whichever of those that you do, and if you feel inclined to join along, all the links are down in the video description. Keep your heads up, my friends. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and a star gleaming in the bleak night. As always, may your adventures be many.